Good morning. Welcome to Morning Java, brought to you as always by our friends at the Get-Go Cafe and Market, where they are offering curbside delivery. That means you just order the stuff on your Giant Eagle app, and you roll down your window and you wait, and a happy person comes out wearing a mask. Contact-free delivery. Can't beat it. I'm joined by Ramon Foster in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Are you trying to one-up my T-shirt there, Ramon? What is that?
That is the Shay Leave shirt that I have going on right now.
Oh,
The
yeah. Okay.
412 Shay
Oh, of
Leave.
course. Yeah, I couldn't see the whole thing here. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I've got 6 feet jag-off to counter that. You're gonna beat me on this. However, this one comes right from the heart because it's from my man Paul over in the Strip District, who stopped me and my wife on the street, literally yesterday, and goes, "Hey, tell Ramon that was a great column last week." I'm actually doing a pretty good Paul there. I was like,
Yeah.
and I said, so I held up my phone. I go, "Here, you tell him yourself." Held up the video
Yeah.
for him. Good for
That was
Paul.
pretty awesome. No lie. In this adventure I'm doing is outside of football. It is not playing football. Not being an athlete anymore. To be in this world, because we've talked before in the past where I didn't want to do anything to where I was just stepping into something and it was just going to be, oh, hey, there's the athlete. I actually wanted to be credible in what I was doing and saying. So to have somebody who's from Pittsburgh, okay, who gets everything about Pittsburgh, say something. And I'll say this too, because I talked to the young guy, Dotson, last night too. He texted me. We exchanged some conversation over Twitter last night, and I told him this. I was like, Pittsburgh is a hard city, okay, for football and the fans. He was just asking me some insight on stuff. So to have somebody who is as pure as Pittsburgh as who is it, Paul?
Paul,
Like,
yeah.
that is by far one of the biggest compliments for a newbie like myself that's in this world of yours.
Now, Kevin Dotson, for anybody who doesn't know, is part of the Steelers rookie class, the only offensive lineman they took, and thus the only one that Ramon references from that group. No, but I know what you're saying though. Pittsburgh, the love is there, but the love is hard earned.
Oh my gosh.
Do you know what I'm saying?
In a lot of ways, man, as a player, as a person, as a city, like you do, like if you play them more than I give you 3 years, like you are an embodiment of that city. Like it owns you. You learn to be molded by it. You learn to turn certain stuff off. And sports is the centerpiece to it. I know there's a lot of things, different districts that are in Pittsburgh. Beautiful, okay. I absolutely love every aspect of it. But I think if you go into each one of those districts of Pittsburgh, whether it's Upper St. Clair, whether it's the South Side, whether it's the Strip District, well, I don't care if you go to Wex or wherever. The centerpiece of all of those communities is football, or sports, for that matter.
No, this is an accurate thing. I've often been told we never could have pulled off this venture in another city because there's a tie between sports and people that's difficult to describe to people who aren't here.
Yes.
I'm not sure if per capita, and I know that sounds hokey and homerish and whatever else here, but the numbers support it. The data supports it. Our local TV ratings for sports are, everyone knows what they are in football. They're number one in the NHL for local ratings. Moan, they're number 7 in Major League Baseball for the Pirates, who haven't been good in quite a while now. Okay? No, but think about that. I mean, that's just, that's just who it's who we are. As long as we're on this little bit of a roll here. Mike Tomlin was the one who came up with the line, when you play Pittsburgh, you play the whole city. And that's ended up being used alternately at different times by the Penguins and the Pirates, because they'll say whenever like the Penguins started playoffs this week, so the other two teams wish them well on social media.
Oh, yeah.
You've seen it. Okay, yeah, and other players get involved.
Mm-hmm.
Players are going to games. You're wearing the Shazier T-shirt. Shazier like
Yeah.
like a diehard season ticket holder over there, Shazy.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
It's so big to us, like you mentioning that aspect of it, like where the other sports teams are involved in it. Like, no lie, and it might sound bougie by saying this type of stuff, or it's just a fanatic type of thing too. Anytime the Penguins were going to the playoffs and we were in the city, whoever got the new contract or who were the oldest guys in the room, we got the box at the game.
that's it.
Like, that was part of it. Okay, who's Gil? You just signed. You getting the box this year, or Marquise, you getting it? Like Ramon, you Al, come on, let's go. You're getting the box this year. Like, and it goes into we gotta be there type of an atmosphere, man. And it's super cool and it's authentic.
We've seen how much Al enjoys himself at hockey games too. Oh man, what a display! Him and Dave both. We saw a side that most people don't usually see from those two when they showed up at that hockey game.
Yeah. And his wife wasn't pleased with that either. But I am certain
that she was not. It's weird though. It's one of the common questions that I've gotten from readers over the years is how much do the athletes pay attention to the other teams in town? My stock answer for that has always been, look, they're so focused on their own thing. I don't know how it's hard for me to relate it because it sounds like you're being insensitive when you say it, but look, I mean, they've got a game this week against the Ravens. They're not sitting there, biting their nails over what the other team in town is doing. But it doesn't mean they don't care. It doesn't mean they don't turn it on and watch. You know what I mean?
Right. No, 100%. I'll give you two cases of that. Just point out. Let's say the Pirates are doing good in the springtime, and we hear about it. There's a buzz. We know about that in like mini camp and OTAs, and guys flock to the games and stuff like that. Or let's say at the end of their season, it's the start of the middle or beginning of our season. If they have like a playoff run going, I think it was like 2 years ago they had the blackout.
It was 2013 to 2015. Yeah, they made the playoffs. But you're thinking the blackout was the 2013 game. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that. Like, God, I can't believe I missed that. You know what I'm saying? And then just watching it locally at home, like, that is cool. So you root for them in those situations. And the funny thing with hockey is this. So our seasons kind of start around the same time. Let's say if we are, 4-3 or 3-4, or we're teetering at 500 and hockey starts up, you hear a lot of the chatter from like the fans, like, well, it's a good thing the hockey team is starting up.
Oh, right.
So there's a little triangle there of like, y'all better get your together or we're gonna leave you behind. And truth be told, there's a little, look jab in your ribs about that type of stuff, man, because our fans is like, well, if you're not good, hey, we got the Penguins. Or it's, well, we'll just wait to see what the Pens are doing this fall and winter. So yeah, there's a little, we pay attention, but it's I guess on the macro scale and not like game to game.
So as long as I'm on this roll here, the other day, stay with me on this. The new Seattle NHL franchise announced its nickname. They're called the Kraken, Kraken. Whatever you think of that name, all I cared about, Moan, was the unveiling of their colors. Yeah. Because you had some similarities between the Seahawks and the Mariners. So whenever I would tell people that Pittsburgh was the only city anywhere where all the teams had the same first name and the same set of colors, it'd be like, well, what about Seattle? All right, well, Kraken comes out. It definitely wasn't the same colors as the Seahawks and Mariners. So Pittsburgh is completely 100% the only city that has this. Have you ever had any thoughts on that? I mean, it's not normal.
It's not. It was told to me when we first got there as like rookies about, every team here has a correlation in their colors and being in the city also. A lot of teams don't have that either. You might have Dallas being in Arlington and their hockey team, I don't even know where it's at, but like
they're downtown. They and the Mavs share the building downtown. Yeah.
So you have that, and there's some significance in it, man. And it goes back to, like I said, everybody's so wrapped up in the sports world in Pittsburgh to where it makes it tough, but it's worth it. And that's one of the things I had to on one of my first calls, Coach Tomlin had me do with the rookies and young guys. That's what I had to tell them. Pittsburgh is going to love you, but it is a hard love, and you got to go about it the right way, because I'm not going to say they'll chew you up, because most guys usually come back around, with how Santonio, I was glad to see everybody embrace him, and I'm sure the same thing is going to happen with Troy too. It's like, they always love you, but if you stray or go the wrong way, as too many people are in it, like their weeks are made off of a game or two or a series.
So Ben Roethlisberger spoke with everyone Tuesday morning. First time he's done a mass interview. He talked about the details of his elbow, that he had 3 parts of his ligaments detached from the bone. It wasn't quite Tommy John surgery, but it was obviously something very serious.
Mm-hmm.
And he also used the plural version of wanting to compete for Lombardies, plural.
Yeah.
We're not that far removed, Ramon, from, meaning on our end as reporters, from having to constantly ask Ben about what his plan is for next season. And the only answer he'd give is basically, go ask my center. As long as Marquise is in the league, I'm in the league. So my question to you, and you know where I'm going here, is if Ben's competing for Lombardies, how much longer is Marquise going to go?
Wow, I can't believe you put me on the spot like that.
I just did. See, this is
because
I didn't tell you what this subject was.
No, you did not. Jeez, that's a hard one, because I can say this too. Marquise could play probably for another 8 years if he wanted to. I definitely genuinely think he can go as long as he wants to. One of those guys that, his mentality is, I'm going to go into my body, don't let me. He could. The other side of it is, I have an answer, but I don't know truly how he feels, especially like with Ben saying like what he's saying as far as like, man, I want Lombardies. Ben and Marquise's relationship is as good, as close as 2 brothers. I don't want to say father-son, because I don't want to designate one or the other, but like it's like twins, essentially. Marquise is attached to Ben, and Ben is to Marquise, although Ben's won championship with other centers. Like, their relationship of seeing one grow, both of them grow, honestly. Marquise maturing up, Ben doing the same thing and growing and I think Ben's, I guess, refreshing year that he had this past year, I guess, to look back on like, hey, man, having a game taken away from you through an injury that you can't control. It's different if you get hurt in the game, but this is something that wasn't a traumatic hit. And I think that changed his mindset. So with that, I see them rolling until they don't want anymore. I think Marquise just got an extension last year also. Yeah, he did with me.
Yeah.
And with the salary cap going up, I hate to say it's a money thing, but if they wanted to keep him around, I'm sure they can entice him with the number if possible. And I know a lot of fans don't want to say you play for the game, but when your body feels a certain way and you've been through the type of surgeries he's gone through,
you better get compensated.
You have to get compensated for that, considering what the numbers are projected to be. I don't know what it is post this COVID stuff, but if they both want to roll for 2 to 5 more years, I could see that. And that's another thing too, searching for the right guy for Marquise's replacement. That's something that's got to be talked about. If you look at our roster right now, nobody's behind them that's going to do it. There's no disrespect to those guys, but who's behind them that's going to do it? And also, if you're going into the draft, Pittsburgh is going to win a lot this year. So you're going to get an early center. You're going to move up. I don't think the team is ready for it. And truth be told, with Marquise saying the way Ben is right now, I don't know if Marquise is ready to walk away at any time either.
Yeah, that's, you brought up a great point about Marquise and the Lombardies and versus the one that Ben's, the couple that Ben's won, and that Marquise came.
Yeah.
Marquise came, a little bit, right at the end of that, and he wanted so badly. I remember in Fort Worth, when you guys were staying down there, we had to interview him pretty much every day over that coy thing about, are you going to play or are you not going to play? Are you going to play or are you not going to play? And it killed him. He was ready to go out there on half a leg, you know, to compete.
100%.
And he still talks. It's amazing to me that, like, as many times as I've brought that up with him, he still doesn't hesitate to talk about it. Like, you would think he'd be like, man, I don't want to. Come on, really? You've asked me this 100 times. He'll still talk about it because I think he still wants it to be fresh.
He does. And the thing is, he didn't tell us until really like 3 days before the game. We honestly thought he was still going to play. I know Doug was getting the reps and stuff like that, but we thought Marquise was going to play in the game. And had it been left up to him, if he could have Terrell Owens that thing playing on a broken leg, he would have. And if you know him, you know. And I'll say this too about being saying wanting to play for Lombardi's. He's said this time and time again to us. I know, at least for me, and he said it when I retired too. He's like, man, I'm sorry I couldn't get you a ring. And I know he means that 100%, because for a guy like him, he was not going to say something like that because it also benefits him. And with that being said, I know he genuinely meant it about me, and I know if there's anything that he can do, he will, as far as him at least competing, getting back to the show. And I think throughout these years, this last decade, as a team, as the mentality of it doesn't just happen. I think Ben is going to enforce that on guys too, more and more after coming back after this injury season, where even though seeing them throw, people still doubt it. Can he still do it? That's the best Ben you're going to get, is when people doubt him in situations like this.
A polite nod before we close this segment to Doug Legursky, because, for all the fuss leading, you mentioned Doug, I just want to clarify who that is. For all the fuss leading up to that, Doug actually played a pretty good game against the Packers. He conducted himself very well.
And you know what, also about that game, I told somebody actually the other day, because they were like, did you get a ring? And I'm like, nah, before one gap year, then went back and lost. I've yet to still watch that game holistically. I've seen clips. I have not watched that game. And I couldn't tell you how it unraveled because I was so much in the moment, but I still hadn't sat down and watched it from 15 minutes in the first quarter to 0 in the fourth. I can't.
You won't. I mean, the outcome was the outcome, but you won't feel bad about it. I mean, it's not like, the chance was there. The chance was there for a Santonio drive, the chance was there. It was, and that's all you can ask of yourself, and put yourself in that position to be there. As they always say, you would take that 1,000 times out of 1,000,
Yeah. Nah, you can give me about 5 out of 1,000. I need one at least.
Your column this week was about cheating, and it wasn't cheating that, normally, as you pointed out in the column, when people think of cheating, they think of, the Patriots, the leaving the camera there by accident in Paul Brown Stadium and all that other stuff and everything. But this was different. This was about basically it's more of taking what's given to you. And our readers, I thought, rightly objected to your definition of cheating. I don't see that as cheating.
They did. And I was honestly shocked by that, because there's a huge understanding of what goes on in a game. And there's a huge understanding I see now from people, at least the ones that express it, that say, you know what? Yeah, that's completely wrong. But this right here, nah, that's not cheating. You just been smart about it. You're taking what's given to you, and you maximize the opportunities that are presented. There's been so many times on the field where I have heard something while listening to the play. I'm like, hey, watch this, they're coming this way. Or Marquise, watch Dunlap. They're about this. Gino and Dunlap, okay? Even they will communicate and say like little stuff like right here, like I'm here. And I'll be honest with you, those two on the same side, and one of them penetrating and one of them looping, it is amazing to know which one is doing which, okay? Because I'll just say that, okay? If I know Dunlap is coming to hit me in my side and I can prepare to not have Gino, up the field first, That is a godsend, okay? And I absolutely love it when they talk because I'll just say it, okay? Cam ain't gonna appreciate it, too, is not either. But D linemen are not the smartest guys, okay? They
Uh-oh.
they they have they have to say what they're gonna do because one of them is usually the smart one.
I can't believe you just said
I'm just telling you. We say it all the time to them. Y'all just go. You can mess up 5 times in a row and nobody in the stands will know this. But if I mess up, coach is pulling me over to the
everybody sees it. Yeah,
thing. It's the only
you're on ESPN.
see what I'm saying? So I'll ask you, did I lie? Okay.
Okay.
So, but they always do that. Or you have a linebacker like a Vinny walk up like, hey, move over. I'm right here. Oh, well, Vinny has this gap.
Yeah. Who's got Vinny?
Exactly. Or they can't help but tip stuff up. It's like so many little things where if you hear something with an R word, okay, well, reverse it. You're on the right side. You're going out here. He's coming here. He's looping around. There's just so many other little things. And I was in charge of getting our signal and also watching. I would watch the opposing sideline. Like if we send in a nickel package, okay, who's coming in? Him. Okay, guys, in this situation, we're probably going to get this. That's a little bit of studying, but there's also a lot of just like listening and picking up on the smallest things, man. We've been saved numerous times by them just doing the smallest stuff. Let's say if they say Rango, well, maybe that's the D lineman slanting across, and we got zone right, so they're going actually opposite of where we're going. Big plays are going to happen.
But this is where I think that I sided with the readers on the idea that this isn't cheating. This is only cheating if you consider counting cards to be cheating. Like, and I know that the casinos do, okay? But the fact is, if you're that good and you can pick up these signals and you have that experience and it benefits your side and you're not doing anything that literally breaks the rules. We might be talking about unwritten rules. And like in baseball where, they don't want the guy standing on second base to be motioning for a fastball when the catcher drops the one. That's an unwritten rule, and the next pitch is going to be high and tight. Have you ever had? Did you ever have anybody on the defensive side say, "Hey, what are you doing? Don't look over there. Don't listen to us."
Yeah, I have, and I've also been a guy that walked back to the huddle after somebody, and they be huddled up lightly, and I'd hear one or two words they're saying. That will happen. But also in my article, I was trying to express this too. Even through all of what we were doing with a crowd, 60,000 plus fans in Heinz Field, okay? Imagine what the intel is going to be like without that crowd. We hear stuff now. Like I said, you hear the long pauses in the TV games. Somebody's saying something that they're not supposed to. So imagine what's going to be said or heard during the game. Do offensive huddle instead of 5 to 7 yards back? Do they go back 10 to 12 to say a play? Are there going to be the initiative of more wristbands for other players? And even so, like I said, the biggest one for me is the audibles. Like hearing Ben if they're playing ball, a defense is going to line up in a set that's not really productive for an offense. And because of that, Ben's going to have to say 1 or 2 words. And from those 1 or 2 words, it may get picked up on a TV copy or it might get picked up by a coach because why? Now they can hear it. So is it cheating or is it just gamesmanship? It's a little bit of both when you take the crowd out of it, I think, for the most part.
But that also could work in both directions, Moan. I mean, think about this. Now, Ben lines up. Nothing stops him from audibling.
Yeah,
every 100%. Play. No one.
Yes.
No matter what this artificial crowd noise is, it's not going to drown out a normal, like a human crowd. Never. No. And for that matter, for anybody who doesn't know this, when the Steelers practice inside the bubble, and actually sometimes outside too, there's massive crowd noise.
Very much so.
But never enough that Ben can't call his shots at the line of scrimmage. 100% of the time.
I'll say this too, is I think it's a whole lot different than being outside at, let's say, UPMC field where we practice at, and in the indoor for where you have guys on both sidelines, and it's more space to where the words can travel to where it might be more clear in the stadium as opposed to being confined on the south side or at the indoor. And truth be told, I mean, you can say like fans are listening at Latrobe, but there's so much chatter out at Latrobe. I don't know if many people have actually picked up on the stuff that we say during no huddle too. There is a little bit of a difference, I think, from saying what we're saying and saying what we say at the line of scrimmage at Latrobe, as opposed to if we have a full-fledged game in Heinz Field. I think there's a little bit of a difference there that at some point we're going to hear about certain teams or offenses and defenses picking up on too much stuff.
I feel obligated before we close out this week's program to point out how much I love the fact that every time you cite a defensive lineman as an example, you do bring up Geno Atkins and Carlos Dunlap of the Bengals. Maybe because they're on the Bengals, I don't know that they fully got their due in the broader, like, casual football fan sense. Maybe because they're interior linemen, the way Cam Hayward is, and he doesn't get his due.
Yeah.
Among casual football fans, but it sounds to me, without putting words in your mouth here, like this is as tough a group as you faced in your career.
Every year, every game, 2 times a year, and if we got them in the playoffs, there was another level to those guys too.
Oh.
Very
we
smart.
Saw it. we saw it,
yes,
believe me.
Exactly. There's not much you can do to get them off their game unless you're up by 14 or more, and it's like, okay, well, next time. That's my approach to them. And I've even heard conversations or had conversations with guys from other divisions. Let's say the AFC West or the AFC South, offensive linemen that I have talked to who said between those two guys, I'm glad I only have to play them once every 4 years. Okay? So my respect for those two aside from, and even you go down the list of guys, Pac-Man, really solid guy. Kirkpatrick, very solid guy. Okay? Their offensive lineman and Whitworth, when he was there, very solid. And we'll even go to the other guy.
Go ahead. You can't leave him out.
Very solid guy, man. And I say that to say, they have had a good team. They got a lot of good players. The team doesn't show that. And like you said, the just due that Geno would have if he was in Pittsburgh. Geno, I think, is well respected around it, but Dunlap for sure. Mm-hmm. Let's put him in a place like Miami, probably with a bigger crowd, or Kansas City. Dunlap he's in contention for like the Madden cover, okay?
Yeah.
Like, that's how good of an athlete he is. Or you put Dunlap in Baltimore. Oh my goodness.
That was actually my first thought, and I didn't want to say it, but I mean, it's because I think people think of Baltimore in that regard.
Yeah.
With their defense, but what Cincinnati had, and I'm gonna kind of say that in the past tense, and has wasted. Is gonna sting the people there who care about the Bengals for a long, long time, because they had some special players.
Very special, man. And I'll say this too, just watching at least that defense play, their cohesion and friendship and continuity was not to be matched by anybody else. Like, for a span of about 4 to 5 years, those guys went out there and they saved that team in a lot of different ways that maybe Andy Dalton got more love, or they just didn't get enough love, like completely to have. And I think their coach Marvin Lewis probably doesn't get enough credit because to have all of that in that span of years under control, it says a lot about him.
Yeah. He put it together. I don't think that's the reason that Marvin kept sticking around.
Yeah.
He kept putting it together, and it just didn't. He kept running into you guys. That was the problem.
Yeah. And our defense had a thing for their offense. It's just how it goes sometimes. But Geno and Dunlap, they should be in the Hall of Fame at least for Cincinnati. Geno will probably make it for sure at some point. Dunlap should be in that conversation because what he was doing for at least 4 years straight, no other guys are doing. It just sucks because they were like a 500 team and they weren't getting the notoriety that they should have.